This week, the HPT crowns its newest champion from the Agua Caliente Casino Resort Spa here in Rancho Mirage, California, just outside of Palm Springs. Which started as a field of hundreds, generated a prize pool worth just under $400,000. And now the lion's share of that prize pool, worth over $90,000, waits for one of the last 5 players remaining. Every decision is worth thousands of dollars. Who will win life-changing money? Who will get the redemption they're looking for, and who will etch their name in HPT history? All of those questions will be answered here tonight on the HPT.
This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack, showing 7 to the jack. On cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to the HPT, where this week we crown our newest HPT champion from one of our new tour stops, the Agua Caliente Casino Resort Spa, here just outside of Palm Springs, California. I'm Fred Bevel. The brain, beauty, and bronze of this operation is Maria Ho.
Players from all across the nation join the local grinders here in the California desert, build a prize pool worth over $375,000. As always, we started with the Elite 9 from our fields, and this week we'll play down to our newest champion, who will go home with over 90 grand for their talents and skills.
The action up to this point has been fierce. These players are not afraid to splash around. They're aggressive and constantly putting each other to the test. And now that we're shorthanded, a wrong decision could be a mistake worth thousands of dollars.
Absolutely, but one of these things that has impressed me about these players is that they're playing the game like there's no money on the line. Their play has been fearless, and they all have a good grasp of the final stage strategy, and most importantly, they look like they're having fun. Their focus is razor sharp, and they all know what each other is capable of. The last few knockouts on our way to a champion should be exciting and fun to watch.
Well, let's take a look at the money yet to be won, an updated chip count, then get right to the action.
The remaining 5 players are all looking for that top prize of over $90,000. Second place is still a great payday though, at $55,000 and change. And our 5th place finisher will take home $20,665.
We are approaching the big money here, Maria, at this final table. Here are the updated chip counts.
Dan Highmiller, with some shaky beginnings, is now emerging as our chip leader. He has over $2.6 million. Mark Jones is behind him with $2.3 million. And our short stack is Ron Hauser with $650,000.
Mark has been playing a pretty tight game so far. He's going to have to open up his range a little bit with all this aggression around him at the table. Blinds continuing at $30,000 and $60,000 with a $10,000 chip ante among the final few. Lily is vying to become only the 4th female champion in HPT's history. Action is folded to the button, which belongs to Ron. He wakes up with pocket 8s. Maria, here comes the raise. Makes it $200,000.
Ron's basically committing his stack here with this raise. I'm not sure why he didn't just shove all in, considering he only has 11 big blinds. But regardless, I don't think he's going to be folding to a re-raise here.
Mark Jones folds. We're now over to Trait Win. He's got pocket 6s.
And I'm pretty sure Trait's going to just re-raise and put Ron all in here with 6s. It's a very standard spot with 6s in the big blind against a button of 11 bigs.
And it played out exactly as you just described. So Ron, a 4-1 favorite here to double up through Tret.
He's in really good shape here to not be eliminated as long as Tret does not hit a 6.
Here comes the flop. It is Queen, Queen, 4, Rainbow. So great flop for Ron. The pot has just under 1.4 million in it. That'd be a big chip infusion to Ron's stack.
Although Trait does have Ron covered, it is still half of his stack that he's going to lose here if he does double Ron up. So Trait's really hoping for that 6 to come on the river.
A harmless deuce falls on the turn. As always, the fate lies in the river card. Will Ron double up? He will indeed. The 4 falls on the river. So Ron is going to win with queens and 8s. And suddenly the short stack, not so short anymore.
And Tritt basically switched places with Ron, becoming the short stack now.
Hauser Construction Limited. I'm guessing those are related.
What's the count? I don't even know the count.
So Trent Wynn is going to lick his wounds and fight another day as blinds continue on at 30 and 60 with a 10,000. Dan Heimiller folds. We're now back to Ron, who's still stacking those chips from his recent double up. Ron's got to move him out of the way of his whole camera so we can all see what he's playing.
I'm not used to this many chips.
Yeah, right. I've seen it before. That was close to
So Ron folds. Action now moves over to the button of Jack Nicholson, also known as Mark Jones. He's going to lay it down. Now we're over to Trent in the small blind. And he is going to go all in. And Lily is going to make the call with mom and dad. So Maria Trent, just looking to make a move here, finds himself at risk and dominated.
I think with Tritt's stack in the blinds, I think he's going to move in with a huge range of his hands, unfortunately. Lily just picked up a really good hand that she's going to obviously call him with. He is live, however, and the flop is ace, ace, 3, 2 clubs. King, queen of Lily still ahead.
So Lily trying to make this a four-handed game as the 10 of clubs comes on the turn.
And now Tritt needs a non-club 8 or a 5 on the river. Otherwise, he is going to be our 5th place finisher. Drawing slim. And the river is the deuce of clubs, giving Lily a flush with her queen of clubs. And Tritt is going to take home $20,665. Not bad. We've seen him in this spot before. I'm sure he would have loved to win, but I'm sure we'll see him here again.
All right, with that elimination, it's time to take another quick commercial break. But when we come back, more exciting final table action coming to you from the Agua Caliente Casino Resort Spa here on the HPT. And welcome back to the HPT, coming to you from Agua Caliente Casino Resort Spa. 4 players remain. Let's head back in the poker room and pick up final table action.
4 players left, all of them looking to catch Dan Heimiller, though, who is our chip leader with just under $3.5 million. Lily and Ron fairly close in chips, and Mark Jones, as the short stack, has 14 big blinds.
Dan Heimiller, a well-known pro among other poker professionals. He's been in the game for a long time and looking to take down his first HPT event. Blinds are moving up. They're now 40 and 80 with a 10,000 chip ante. And Dan Heimiller looks down at pocket aces.
Not a bad hand to pick up four-handed. Pretty sure your opponents aren't going to give you that much credit for that big of a hand when you are opening four-handed as the chip leader.
200,000.
And Dan is going to make the expected raise to 200,000. Ron quickly folds. We're now over to Mark Jones.
I really would like to see Dan raise a little bit smaller now because he does have such a sizable chip lead and everybody else's stack is somewhat precarious. Everybody else has, 23 big blinds, 20 big blinds, 14 big blinds. So a 200K raise is a big portion of their stack. I would just like to see him min it, or maybe just slightly more than a min raise. I think that that's going to accomplish a lot more for him, especially when he has such a huge hand like aces.
Mark makes the call from the small blind. Lily folds her big blind. So heads up between Mark and Dan. Dan's got the rockets. The flop is king, ace, 10 with a couple of hearts. Big action here. Dan has flopped top set, but Mark picks up a flush draw.
He also does have a gut shot straight draw to go with his flush draw, so no doubt he is going to put all the chips in, and Dan is quickly going to call. And Dan's going to see that he's actually not in as great of a shape as you would like to be when you do flop top set.
For Dan, he flops a set.
So Dan Heimiller looking to fade a heart or the gut shot draw to eliminate Mark. Here comes the turn.
The turn is the 9 of spades, a safe turn for Dan. Mark on the draw still.
Mark looking for any heart or a jack to suck out here. Dan hoping to see a brick and take us to three-handed poker. Here comes the river.
Oh, the river is the jack, and that was one of the outs that Mark needed to double up. You could see by his celebration, he didn't think it was going to come. But now Dan is going to have to double up Mark, and they're going to stay four-handed.
Unbelievable river. Why couldn't it be the heart? I mean, there were 9 of those available. He's got to hit the 3-outer. That just makes it sting more.
Definitely. It's funny how sometimes you have to get there the hard way.
So Mark Jones is going to scoop just under $2.4 million with that double up. Huge swing for him. Blinds continuing at 40 and 80,000 with a 10,000 chip ante, and Lily Coletto will be under the gun this hand. Her boyfriend, James Calderaro, is on the rail. He made our final table in Florida. So I'm guessing there's some domestic bragging rights going on who's going to finish higher in an HPT final table.
I think with pocket 3s and 13 big blinds, Lily's right to just take her equity with this hand, try to pick up the blinds. I think it's an all-in shove that you're happy for it to get through because you know if you get called, you're going to be flipping. And with ace-king, Mark is certainly not folding. So Lily will be flipping here. Slightly ahead for her tournament life.
So Lily Coletto hoping to find small cards on this board to double through Mark. Big pot here, over 2.2 million in the middle.
So far, so good. Flop is 5-5 deuce rainbow. Lily's 3s are still in the lead.
Both players anxiously awaiting the fate here, and that's a great card for Lily. A 3 comes on the turn, giving her a full house, and Mark, now drawing dead, is going to have to carve out the chips to pay Lily off.
It's very rare in Texas Hold'em that you have your opponent drawing dead on the turn. A lot of times they've got a few outs, so definitely the card Lily was looking for.
Every week we like to highlight a player from our field of hundreds. This week we chose professional poker player Kenna James. Here he talks about his championship run with us earlier in the season with Card Player Cruises, as well as his outlook on poker as a sport.
I've always played well on a cruise. I love the whole ambiance of it, and plus you get all the suckers trapped on the ship and they can't get off. But I was actually the sucker because I bought in 5 different times. There's a multiple entry, and where was I going to go? So I just had to go to my pocket, rebuy, and then eventually, you know, it's kind of interesting because things turn around. Eventually, you know, you keep running into a wall enough times, you break through. And that's what happened on the cruise ship, and I got kind of emotional, was to just break through that and actually realize, you know, your dream for that moment and embrace that moment and not just toss it off, well, okay, on to the next one. But I think it's very important that we're in a sport where you suffer a lot of loss. You better celebrate the victories, you know, to balance it out. And I allowed myself that moment to just really experience it emotionally. And so that's for me what it was just to allow myself to win.
I get a lot of support. I really do. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Those things that you really enjoy and love to do, you got to get interested in it. Interested enough to study the game and study what you do and build your skill set. Because this is a challenge of values, really. You know, my values against your values. Do I have the best hand? Do you have the best hand? And you have determination. So it's developing skills like hand reading and betting and all those things. But beyond that, it takes traits of observation and discipline and patience and perseverance and endurance. Those things you can't really study in a book. You've got to cultivate them within yourself. And then realize that this game, if you allow it, will speak to you and point flaws in your game. So be self-critical about that and go and build yourself. And if you're really interested in doing that and apply yourself, you too can come out a champion. Hey everybody, it's Kenna James and you're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson standing outside here at Agua Caliente Casino Resort Spa. 4 players remain. Let's head back inside of the poker room. We'll send it over to Freddie and Maria.
The blinds are getting so big that every pot that you win could vault you into the chip lead. As you could see, Lily Coletto is now our chip leader with just under 2.8 million. But Mark Jones, although he did double her up, still has 2.4 million. Ron and Dan with similar chip stacks. It's really anybody's game at this stage.
We can see in the stack swing graphic, Dan Heimiller's lost the most, almost 2.1 million in chips. Mark Jones gained the most even after doubling up Lily. He's still up a little over 1.3 million from the last time we checked in. Blinds remain at 40 and 80,000 with a 10,000 chip ante.
Dan said, never give a guy a walk.
And Ron Hauser will be the beneficiary of pocket aces this hand. Big cards in a short-handed game. You don't see this very often.
No comment. 220.
Yeah, and Ron
He's
has
only supposed to
18
bet
big
2
blinds, so he's going to try to do his best to get some action here.
He's going to make it 220,000. So a little under 3x is his raise. Now Mark Jones on the decision. And Mark is going to make the call. We saw him call against Dan Heimiller's pocket aces with Queen 8. Now he's going to call Ron's pocket aces with Jack 6. Here comes the flop.
The flop is 10 Queen 9 rainbow, so Marcus flopped an open-ended straight draw, and I think Ron is trying to play his aces cautiously, doesn't really love how draw-heavy that flop looks to him. He checks it over to Mark. Mark also checks behind.
Mark will take that free card every day. The turn is a Queen of Spades.
225.
Now Ron's definitely going to need to get some value here from his aces. He bets 225,000. And I'm not really sure if Mark is going to call here after the board pairs with his open-ended straight draw. I think when he checks back the flop to try to give himself a free card with his draw, he probably didn't want to commit too many chips on the draw.
The 10 of clubs falls on the river, double pairing the board. Both players are going to cautiously check, and Ron is going to table the aces. Mark so close to cracking aces twice at this short-handed final table. Instead, Ron is going to scoop just under $1 million in chips. Blinds are moving up now. They're 50 and 100,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. So the big blinds and everybody's stacks just dropped a few with the raising of the blinds.
With the blinds this high relative to the remaining players' chip stacks, there's just going to be a lot of all-ins now and not so much post-flop play.
Mark makes it 250,000 to go with suited ace-8. Lily quickly folds, so now we're over to Dan Heimiller.
And with pocket 10s, Dan Heimiller is no doubt going to move his 11 big blind chip stack in. I think he's taking a bit of time because he wants to get called here. 10s is a really great hand. And he just doesn't want to seem too overeager. Sometimes your timing can give away the strength of your hand.
So Ron, after some deliberation, lays his hand down. We're back to Mark.
I think Mark is probably going to make the call here with ace-8 suited. It's very borderline. It just depends if you think Dan is going to shove here with king-queen suited, king-jack suited, and obviously pairs under the 8 so that Mark would have 2 overcards, which I think Dan is shoving all those hands. So I think it's fine for Mark to call here.
That's exactly what he does. So Dan's tournament life at risk. The flop is deuce 9-4 with a couple of clubs. It's never easy, is it? Dan's 10 survived the flop, but Mark has picked up a flush draw. Dan hoping to fade a club or an ace.
And unfortunately for Dan, the turn is the 6 of clubs. He's drawing dead now, and he will become our 4th place finisher after starting 5-handed play as the chip leader.
An insignificant king falls on the river as Dan shakes the hands of his competitors and wishes them good luck. An accomplished pro and a good sportsman is what Dan Heimiller is as he shakes the hands of his competitors and wishes them luck. And he will go to the cage to cash out just under $27,000 for his good run this weekend. Blind still at 50 and 100,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. Now that we're 3-handed, the button is under the gun to start things off.
Ron Hauser, our short stack on the button, looks down at king 8 suited. It's got 15 big blinds, and he decides to limp. Now, I'm not a fan of this play. You know how I feel about limping, but limping when you have 15 big blinds because you have a hand like Ron and you're just trying to hit the flop, it's just not something that I personally would suggest people doing. I think you could still raise, fold off that stack, and I think unless you're limping to re-raise, get it in if somebody raises you, I just don't think it's a good way to make use of your short chip stack.
That's true.
And how about this? Lily Coletto checking her option from the big blind with
pretty interesting
pocket 10s.
I think that you still kind of have to inevitably get it in here with 10s. Unfortunately, I just don't know if I love this play by her.
Well, the flop is deuce 8 queen, so Mark gets the best of it. He's got top pair. Ron flops middle pair.
Lily leads for 250,000 and Ron decides to call with his middle pair. And I just don't love that because I feel like Ron limped in with a hand like king 8 suited because he was hoping to flop a flush. And now that he just has a small piece of it, he's committing even more of his chips when every chip is so valuable for his short stack. And actually, because of that, he gets Mark, who has the best hand to fold. And that is such a lucky break for Lily.
Can't imagine someone folding top pair in a three-handed poker game. I mean, you called with a weak queen.
But this is the thing. I think everybody's so confused by Ron's limp. I think they're confusing it for strength because he limped off of 14 big blinds.
Both players check through the turn. So Lily here, Rivers is set, but she was way ahead. Didn't need it. Lily bets $500,000. Ron snap calls.
And I love how Ron acts like she gave him a bad beat or something, like he was ahead. But no, this is exactly the point that I'm trying to make with limping with a hand like King 8. Just commit too many chips when you don't flop a great hand. And because of that, Ron's going to end up with 2 big blinds now going into the last hand. I don't think he would have ran into this kind of trouble if he had raised with King 8 suited. Lily would have just gone all in, and Ron would have folded, and he would have only lost 2.5 big blinds. And now he's lost 12 big blinds.
Hold on, taking notes, still taking notes. If you at home are not using Maria Ho as a teacher while you watch the HPT, you're missing out. More poker when we come back. Thanks for coming back to the HPT. Over $90,000 is waiting for one of these players remaining. Let's get right back to the action.
Looks like it's basically a 2-person race at this point. Lily Coletto leading the way with $4 million. Mark Jones with just under $3.8 million. And Ron Hauser with just 2 big blinds after what I think was a severe misstep in the last hand.
Ron now on a wing and a prayer with his chip stack. He is just going to have to put them in and hope. Blinds remain at 50 and 100,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. And unless Ron mounts an Ollie-like comeback, the heads-up match will be between Lily Coletto and Mark Jones for the championship.
Lily has ace-3, and she raises to 250,000 from the button, and Ron's going to commit his other big blind with Queen-Jack offsuit from the small blind.
She took all my money.
Maria, I suspect Mark is just going to call here, and he and Lily will check it down to eliminate Ron and take quite a big pay jump. $37,572 is the third place prize, whereas second place is making $55,607. So a little more than $18,000 separating second from third place here. But Mark is going to lay down 9-10. Kind of surprised at that fold, Maria.
I guess he didn't really want to play a side pot with Lily, and who can blame him? I'd be intimidated by her too.
Lily's worried. She's worried.
Ron Hauser trying to put some mojo on the board here.
So now Lily just needs her ace high to hold here, and she will get to heads up play with the chip lead.
He wants to find a queen or a jack to outflop Lily and stay alive here. Here comes the flop. It is 5-4. Lily just put the hammer down. She flopped the wheel straight.
Ron's just hoping to go runner-runner for a flush to win, or runner-runner for a straight to chop with Lily. Otherwise, it's looking pretty good that we're going to be heads up after this hand.
Club for a sweat. Club for a sweat.
The turn is the queen of spades, and that's going to do it. Ron drawing dead now. He's going to make his way over to the other end of the set and congratulate Lily for a good hand as he exits his way off our final table, going home with over $37,000.
And now we're down to heads up play, folks. One of these 2 players is going to become our newest HPT champion. Is it going to be Lily Coletto or Mark Jones? Lily does have a slight chip lead over Mark with $4.3 million to his $3.6 million. But both players have enough chips to splash around with, so we'll have to see what happens.
Both players aggressive. This should be a fun little battle here. Lily Coletto vying to become only the 4th female HPT champion in our history. And action in this hand will start with Mark. And Mark is going to raise it to $250,000 with ace-7.
And Lily is going to call with 10-7 suited.
So we can see Lily way behind going into this hand as both players share the 7, but Mark's got her outkicked with the ace.
And the flop is Queen 8-5, 2 clubs. So now Lily has flopped a flush draw, and Mark just has the back door nut flush draw. I think that Lily's planning to check raise this here. I would. But Mark decides to check behind, and I like that check behind by Mark. I don't think that that's a great flop for his hand. I think that kind of flop really does hit Lily's range a lot. The turn is the 5 of clubs, so now Lily's flush has come in, and it looks like she is going to lead out now. And I believe with the ace of clubs in his hand, Mark is going to call. Not just for the backdoor nut flush draw, but also because now that the board's paired the 5, he's thinking maybe my ace high is good.
Mark does make the call. So now the pot swells to over 1.3 million in chips.
And the river is the ace of diamonds. Now that's a really good card for Lily because now when she value bets her flush, she might just get Mark to call here. If the river was a 7, I don't think Mark would call a river bet. But I think with aces and 5s, Mark might just have to, just in case Lily's on a bluff.
Lily is going to fire 1 million in chips here on the river to try to get paid from Mark. And Mark does make the call, and Lily just got revenge off of that first heads-up hand when Mark rivered the straight. Big pot here, Maria. Over 3.3 million in the middle on that hand. Lily Coletto on a good track to become only the 4th female HPT champion in our history.
Both of these last 2 remaining players are playing like they want it. Who's it going to be? Come back and find out.
Maria, we have seen all the eliminations possible, except one more. We are heads up for the HPT championship. Let's get right to this final table.
Lily Coletto is starting to pull away from Mark here. She's increased her chip lead to 5.6 million over his 2.3 million.
Lily with 47 big blinds, and Mark with just 20 big blinds, so he's in that prime 3-bet shove stack range. Lily trying to close the door on this table and become only our 4th female HPT champ in our history. Blinds are 60 and 120,000 with a 15,000 chip ante. Lily looks down at Queen 5 of clubs. In heads up play, the button is the small blind and first to go pre-flop, and she is going to make it 260,000. Mark with ace 5 is going to make the call.
And Mark definitely has enough chips to still play a little bit post-flop, or like you said, 3-bet shove over her opens with fold equity still. Ace 5 offsuit is probably hand with 20 big blinds that I might just call. I don't know if I want to 3-bet shove that. I don't think if I get called, I would like that spot too much.
The flop is Jack 5-9 with a couple of spades, so both players pair the 5. And Mark is going to fire. He bets 400,000. Lily takes a second look at her cards.
Yeah, I think anytime somebody just bets into you and you're the pre-flop aggressor, you're always kind of thinking why. Like I said, the most common thought if you're just playing with your average recreational player is that they're probably fairly weak. And as you can see, Mark is fairly weak. He does have the best kicker with his bottom pair, but it's definitely not a good hand to bet into the pre-flop aggressor with. And I think that's why Lily's calling here. She thinks maybe he just has a draw. The turn is the 9 of hearts. And, you know, I think Mark's not really sure at this point if he's betting for value or if he's turning his hand into a bluff. Because if I were Mark, I would probably check call. But now I think because he's playing his hand so strangely, Lily might call him. Because like you just heard her say, she said, you might be on a flush draw. And if he is, then she thinks her 9s and 5s with queen kicker is good. I think sometimes your opponent might just be confused as to what they're doing with their hand, and that ends up confusing you. And I kind of feel like that's the predicament that Lily's in right now.
Lily entertaining all of us by giving us a peek into her thought process as she vocalizes what she's thinking.
The thing is in this situation, Mark thinks he might be trying to turn his hand into a bluff and get her to fold better, but he doesn't realize that he actually has a better hand than her, and he actually wants her to call.
Lily is going to make the smart laydown, though, and save some chips. But the damage kind of done, as Mark is going to scoop just under 2 million. So Lily's chip lead dwindling a little bit after that. Blinds moving up here. They're now 80 and 160,000 with a 20,000 chip ante. Getting expensive to play the poker. Look at this. Mark looks down at pocket queens on the button.
It's really nice when you are heads up to get such a big hand because you know that even if you raise, you're probably going to get action. In heads up play, a lot of the times you go to the flop.
375.
Mark is going to make it $375,000 with his pocket queens. So a little more than 2x the big blind.
And Lily puts Mark all in with ace-5 suited, and Mark quickly calls.
So Lily hoping to find an ace on this flop or clubs to close the door on Mark's pocket queens and make her the newest HPT champion. Otherwise, she's going to double up Mark, and things are going to get very interesting. Almost $6 million in chips in this pot.
I had a feeling you were going all in.
What's that? You had a feeling
Yeah.
I was? That's a huge hand. Queens? Wow.
Lily at the back of the rail with her boyfriend and HPT final table alumni James Calderero. And she waits for the flop, which is Jack 5-7. So Lily does pair the 5.
I've been lucky with the 5s lately.
That opens up some more outs for her. So now an ace or a 5 will give her the win. There's no clubs on the flop, so the flush dreams are dead. The turn is the queen of clubs. That gives Mark top set now.
So now Lily is drawing dead. As you could see, she had a little bit of hope flopping that 5 on the flop, but Mark is going to double up here, and he's going to be in a commanding position against Lily.
It's that time of the hour where we take a break and enjoy a poker life featuring Doyle Brunson, brought to us by our friends at Ace Play Poker. Now, if you've read the Super System, you know about Broomcower. Doyle always says, don't get blinded off like Broomcower's uncle. Well, here Doyle tells us the story behind the man, Broomcower.
Yeah, Broomcower was a businessman in Brenham, Texas, and he owned a lot of the real estate in Brenham. I don't know what the size of Brenham is today, but it was kind of a small town then. The home of Bluebell ice cream, if you've ever had any Bluebell ice cream. I mean, it's the best ice cream that I've ever seen. It was just a little shop then. It's nationwide now. But he played poker and he liked to drink, and he would order, bring me 3 cold Budweisers, and he'd have them lined up there. And of course, he was the main attraction in the game. He lost, I guess, probably millions of dollars in the game, and so he was. I think his main claim to fame was when I wrote the book, something about Broomcorn's uncle anning himself to death. That's what Broomcorn would always say, because he played so loose. He said, you guys are going to ante yourself to death, you know, like my uncle did or something.
More words of wisdom from a legend. More poker from the Agua Caliente Casino Resort when we come back.
Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson standing outside of Agua Caliente Casino Resort Spa. It's time to head back in the poker room and find out who our new HPT champion is going to be. We're heads up.
So now there's a bit of a reversal of fortunes here. Mark Jones now has the 2-1 chip lead over Lily Coletto, but she's definitely a fighter, and with 14 big blinds, she could still come back.
In just one hand, the dynamics have completely flip-flopped at this heads-up final table. Lily, with a commanding lead, is now on the bottom looking up to Mark. And now she needs to have the big double-up hand to get right back in this. Blinds are 80 and 160,000 with a 20,000 chip ante. And look at this. First it was queens. Now Mark has pocket aces.
And you know, when you're heads up for a title and the deck is just hitting you in the face, you have got to be loving it. And unfortunately for Lily, this just isn't her heads up match. You can't do anything about it when you're running into huge hands. You've got to get in there heads up, and there's no avoiding playing against Mark. It's just very unlucky for her that he is getting dealt these monsters.
The flop is 8-6-7 rainbow, so Lily does pair the 8 for top pair. But Mark with his overpair of aces is huge, and he is going to go all in. Lily's going to make the expected call with top pair, and she's going to see she is in a real bad way here.
She knows that there's nothing she could do here. She flopped top pair, gut shot, straight draw. You can't just fold these hands heads up. She's got some outs, though. Mark is still the favorite with his overpair.
An 8, a 10, or a 9 is what Lily will be looking for on the turn of the river to double up through Mark. Otherwise, we're looking at our newest HPT champion here. Here comes the turn.
The turn is the Jack of Spades, and now Mark is just one card away from taking down this title.
Again, it's an 8, a 9, or a 10. Those are the cards Lily is looking for. Here comes the river.
Oh, and the river's the 8 of Spades, and that is the kind of luck Lily needed here in this heads-up play. She's river trip 8s, and this heads-up match is going to keep going.
Little under 4.5 million in that pot, so Lily right back in this thing. Both these players are going for each other's throats here. Blinds remain at 80 and 160,000 with a 20,000 chip ante as Lily's still stacking her chips from that last double up. She's going to fire 400,000 with ace 10 here. And now Mark Jones's cards have come back down to earth. He looked down at Jack 3. So Mark is going to make the call here with the suited Jack 3. And the flop is 5, 9, deuce with a couple of diamonds. So Lily's ace high still ahead.
All in.
And she decides she just wants to end this nonsense right here. She's just going to put Mark Jones all in. He's going to have to call off his stack if he wants to continue with this hand. And as you can see, because Mark doesn't have anything, he is going to fold. I don't know if Lily really needed to make such a big overbet to get it done, but I think that that's what she felt like she needed to do. You know, sitting at the desk for us, it's hard to really gauge the dynamic between the two players. They've been playing with each other all final table long, and, you know, you really can't fault someone for tailoring their strategy to their opponent.
Mark is under the gun this hand from the small blind. He has a suited king. And he's going to make it 380,000.
600.
And Lily is now waking up with the big hand. She is going to 3-bet it to 600,000.
And I think, you know, she didn't make it that much bigger, and that's why Mark feels like he could peel with King 5 of Hearts, but I don't really love it. I think it's a spot where you probably should just fold unless you think that she's just trying to push him around, in which case I would even go all in with that hand. But, you know, Lily doesn't really love this flop of 6-3 deuce, and she, again, is going to overbet the pot, putting Mark all in, and Mark with just a gut shot and an overcard to the board. I don't think he's going to call off his life here with that hand. So once again, I think it's a situation where Lily might have been able to extract a little bit more value had she just maybe bet or checked to him and check raised all in instead to get some of his chips. But either way, she is going to win this pot and keep adding to her stack and keep adding to her chip lead.
Back and forth, Lily and Mark going at it for the championship. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thanks for coming back to the HPT. Over $90,000 is waiting for one of these players remaining. Let's get right back to the action.
And this battle continues. They did swap the chip lead a couple hands back, but Lily's regained the top spot. She has 4.8 million to Mark's 3.1 million, but with the blinds so high, you could see that they only have 24 big blinds and 16 big blinds respectively. So there's not going to be a whole lot of post-flop play from this point forward.
Blinds are at 100, 200,000 with a 30,000 chip ante.
400.
And Lily looks down at suited connectors, 6-7 of diamonds, and she is going to raise it up to 400,000.
And now Mark has a stack where he shouldn't be peeling very wide at all. I think there's a few select hands he could peel with, but for the most part, he should just be folding or 3-betting all in.
Instead, he is going to just call here with 9-10. So a couple of connecting hands going at it this flop, as the flop is 9-Jack-8.
And with 2 diamonds on the flop, Lily has a flush draw and the open-ended straight draw to the dummy end. Mark has middle pair and an open-ended straight draw. No doubt all the chips are going to get in there.
Yeah, this is an action flop for what these two players are holding here.
And after Lily c-bets, I would just check raise all in if I were Mark, and he does.
And Lily snap calls here, and you can't blame her for doing that either, Maria. So right now, Mark is ahead, but you can see statistically, Mark's only 55% favorite to win this hand.
Open-ender, but with two diamonds on the board. Okay, she's behind in the hand. She's going up against 10-9.
Give him a 10.
So both players with big draws. Mark has the edge as he has a pair to go with his draw. Once again, Lily on the rail with her boyfriend, hoping the run out is good for her. The turn is the king of hearts, so a blank for both players. Right now, Mark's pair of nines is the best.
Okay, so nothing has changed, but the nine's still in the lead.
Mark hoping to hold up and double up. Lily hoping to find any diamond or a 10 or a 5, and she will be our newest HPT champion.
Well, there's a lot of outs here. Let's go ahead and see the river.
3 of diamonds. 3 of diamonds.
It's a queen.
The river is the queen of clubs, and Mark has improved to the straight, and he is going to double up through her. And this is definitely shaping up to be quite a battle. They keep doubling each other up, and at some point, something's got to give.
Yeah.
Open-ended with a flush.
I know, right, Lily? Sometimes you just have too many outs. Unfortunately for her, she has got to double up Mark, and over 6.3 million in that pot. Now Lily will continue on with just under 1.8 million as blinds continue at 1 in 200,000 with a 30,000 chip ante.
And now Lily's definitely in a bit of a danger zone. She's got 9 big blinds. She's just looking for a hand to go with.
Mark looked down at King 10, and he has raised enough to put Lily all in if she calls, and she does with Ace Jack. So here we go again, Maria.
Lily is ahead for her tournament life here. It's been pretty swingy, heads up, been battle of big hand after big hand.
Both players have given us a good show here this week at the Agua Caliente Casino Resort Spa. Now waiting to see who the champion will be. Lily is ahead, but Mark is alive.
The flop is 3, 4, 6, couple of diamonds. Lily is still in the lead, and she does have the best diamond. She doesn't really want to see paint, though. Just keep them low.
The turn is the queen. Right in the middle of Mark's cards. Right now, Lily's ace high, still the best. Mark hoping to get lucky on the river here and be our newest HPT champion.
And the river is the 10, and Mark is going to eliminate Lily, rivering a pair of 10s here. Lily put up a great fight to get to heads-up play, and she's going to go home with 55,000.
Lily should be very pleased with her play at this final table. I'd say the deck beat her, not so much the players beat her. She's going home with a great payday, and right now she is standing by with our sideline reporter James Larson to get her thoughts on this week's final table.
Lily, now you've lived by the river, and now you die by the river. Up and down all day, you played great. It just basically came down to one hand. But what are your emotions as you leave this table in second place?
Well, my emotions for this game is I basically just wanted to win the title, and coming in second place again is just not as fulfilling as being first. That's it. So.
But you have to be happy with the way you played. I mean, you played great. It just, that's poker, though. It always comes down to, it really comes down to one or two hands.
That's true, it is. But, I'm happy the way I played. Everything went great, and it was fun. So next time, there's another tournament.
Yeah.
So.
Let's give her a big round of applause, everybody. And for Lily's efforts, she's going home with a nice payday, just over 55,000. Freddie and Maria, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, James, and congratulations again to Lily Coletto. I thought she played a great game and surprised a few people. Usually the small, demure, beautiful woman doesn't get a lot of credit at the poker table, and she proved everybody wrong tonight. Our new champion this event is Mark Jones, and congratulations to him. He is standing by with James Larson to get his thoughts on his HPT experience.
All right, Freddie and Maria, I am now joined with our new HPT champion. Put your hands together for Mark Jones, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Mark. Well, first question. It was somewhat of a marathon, 96 hands heads up. How do you feel right now?
I feel great, and I can really hand it to Lily. She was an excellent player. It was a really back and forth, and our level of play was very good. I just ended up being lucky at the very end.
You did get lucky. You had it, you lost it, you had it, you lost it, and then you got it. But the good news is the last one you won. And look down there, those are all your chips, and that's all your money. I know your wife's right behind you, but what is that 90,000 plus? What does that mean to you?
Graduate school for my daughter.
Okay.
That's what it means.
Yeah, well, the money's going to be spent in a good spot. You played great. Anything you want to say to your friends and family that are watching this on television right now?
Well, I want to say hi to all my kids. Thank you for watching. I know you guys have been watching on HPT. I want to thank my wife and all my friends and the people from the lake that are following me. and some friends all over the country that are watching, and I want to thank HPT and the whole crew here.
And
It's
Mark,
been wonderful.
Myself and the crew, we want to thank you for the drinks you're going to be buying in the bar
Absolutely.
later. He's our new HPT champion. Once again, put your hands together for Mark Jones. He played great. Freddie and Maria, we'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, James, and congratulations again to Mark and everybody that made this final table. This is a tough event, the final table. Maria, what is your take on the play here today?
Well, when we got shorthanded, the blinds got pretty big relative to everybody's chip stack, so a lot of these hands just played themselves, and especially heads up, we saw a lot of chip trading between the two of them, and ultimately it just came down to who ran better at the right time, and for that, Mark Jones is our winner.
Timing is everything in this game. Now, do you think you have what it takes to sit under the worldwide stage of the HPT and compete for unreal money? Well, log on to hptpoker.com and find an event near you. For James Larson and the beautiful and talented Maria Ho, I'm Fred Bevel. We'll see you next time right here on the HPT.